So if you're talking about, MVPD addressability with the cable and satellite providers, we're looking at 63 million households, and that number will scale to be 70 million households by the end of the year. So where one2one sits is we're a national addressable platform, and what we do is we aggregate all addressable supply and make it easy for brands to execute across all screens. We want to make sure that we're using the same exact data set, so it's identical across all addressable supply, and then we're able to measure the attribution on the back end of the campaign. In addition to the MVPD addressability, we also aggregate addressable video supply. So any place we can apply the same data and then get the measurement on the back end, we'll do it. So whether it's OTT or mobile or even desktop. I think what's nice about addressable is that on the back end of the campaign, you get all of this data. So before the campaign, we have a conversation with the advertiser, we ask them what the goal of the campaign is, and then we set the attribution up to do that. So one advertiser might want to look at a sales lift, another one might want to look at web traffic or a lift in foot traffic to a location. We can even tie an addressable exposure back to social media chatter. From there, then on the back end, we look at return on ad spend for the campaign. So after the campaign, we know by category, by advertiser, how much they can pay, and we're able to go back and adjust the pricing. So you're able to finally add some transparency to television and see what works, what doesn't work. I think even the information of what isn't working in a television campaign is very powerful because you're able to go and make adjustments to future campaigns. We're data agnostic. We can work with any first or third party data set that a client wants to work with. So we work with Experian and Axiom and Polk and KBM and Newstar and Shopcom. Like anything a client wants to do by category, there's plenty of data sets that we can use. And basically what happens is you're taking the subscriber files from the MVPDs, or if you're doing the device ID off of a smart television or an IP address, and you're matching that up against first and second and third party data sets. Basically, the simplest way to think of how the technology works is the MVPDs that offer addressable television have taken their set-top box and they've invested in technology that basically makes it function as a digital ad server. So from there, they're able to decision and send the right ads to the right households. The way that addressable is evolving, and we're starting to look at matching off of the device ID off of the smart television. So now you're matching off of the IP address and you're leveraging ACR technology. What that does is it makes addressable television function way more like digital. So you're able to get ads up in real time. We could potentially optimize a television campaign while it's in flight. And with the legacy addressable, we haven't been able to do that because it takes a couple of weeks to populate the set-top boxes and get the right messages to the right households. Right now is like the most exciting time to be in the television industry. I mean, it'll change more in the next 2 years than it has in the last 50. We have so much data, so we have basically almost 8 billion impressions of historical data that tells us, what we can pay by category, by brand. So I think that the initial struggles are kind of going away, and we're starting to actually scale the marketplace. I think there was a need to bring some tech into the addressable marketplace, just because anyone that's tried to execute it knows how challenging it could be. That each MVPD has different data integrations and different tech stacks. So the tech that we built actually unifies it and takes some of the old challenges away.
Give us an idea of the scope of the advertisers that you're seeing coming into addressable.
So I think the applications are different depending on the brand. We do say if it's a really broad target, like over 30%, it doesn't make sense. So if an advertiser comes to you and says, I want to reach everyone that buys toothpaste, you say go buy national television. But if you want to conquest against a competitive brand, then addressable television makes sense. Some brands that are in the digital space that haven't historically spent in television use addressable as kind of like a testing ground to see if TV works for them. But if you think about it as what the opportunity represents now. So 4 years ago, if a brand was executing addressable, they would likely do it through one provider and they would have a small reach. So we did a campaign for an online retailer. We've been working with them for the last 4 years. 4 years ago, the total target that was in target was 700,000 households, and the return on ad spend was 300,000. This year, when we did the campaign, we aggregated all the addressable supply, so they were able to reach over 7 million households that were in target, so that's a big opportunity for an advertiser. And then when we looked at the return on ad spend, they made over $6 million. So I think that when everyone comes in and considers addressable a test, and they do these one-offs, you get good results, but it's not anything that's exciting. You need to put it together in order to make it a real opportunity.